You guys ready?
We are.
You are up. You're up.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, from Berea and inside Browns headquarters today on 76 Lou Groza Boulevard. Welcome to Cleveland Browns Daily. I'm Jim Donovan, and Jason Gibbs is alongside me. Nathan Zegura, at least right now, is on assignment, but he should be back very soon.
Just a well-oiled machine here today with the weather. I'm doing 4 different things.
I know. We're all
of a sudden the music's playing, and I'm going,
who leads
we never
the show?
really talked about who was going to lead
here
for this first segment.
I mean, even on the Tonight Show, they do the Here's Johnny. All right, welcome in, everybody. And it is an indoor day today in Berea with the heavy rain, and there was thunder and lightning this morning. So the Browns walkthrough was inside, and that's going to carry through to this afternoon. The practice will be inside. So unfortunately, training camp to the public is not open today. And I know people are disappointed about that because they are limited as they are. But it's been going along very, very well. But today it's going to be indoors, Jason. So as a matter of fact, it's going to be very, very cozy in there because only a limited amount of even the media who normally are here and qualified to go in and designated that they're allowed to go in, only a scant few will be allowed into the practice today because it's tight quarters in there. You have a lot of players, and you have certain members of the media will be allowed to go in and watch the practice. Other than that, this is going to be a day where the Browns will be indoors and try and get their work done. They have tarps out on the field outside. I had a feeling they were going to go inside because remember yesterday, as we were getting set to do the show and the Browns were getting ready in an hour and a half at that time to come out on the field, they were blow-drying the grass to make sure that it was dry. Now, that was yesterday. Today, considering the downpours we had this morning, I right away said, we're going indoors today.
Yeah, and it becomes very challenging now for this football team to be indoors in the era of COVID because we have a 70-yard field house. And you can take 30 yards essentially off of that because 30 yards of that, or at least 20 yards of it, is the weight room now because everything has to be socially distant.
Right, yeah.
So you're really kind of limited in the space that you're able to work in. And we've been lucky. This is the first time we've had a rain out.
True. Not even close.
Yeah.
But if anybody probably has this handled, it is Kevin Stefanski, and I'm sure he strategized this. All right, what happens if we have weather on a certain day? And so I'm sure they have a procedure ready to go and a battle plan to get through a practice like this. And I would say this, they have gotten so much work in already. And with a game coming up on Saturday, you're closing in maybe to the point where you're going to taper down a little bit anyway and take some of the pace out of practice because they had a good practice on Sunday. They were slow on Saturday leading into Sunday, but at the Orange and Brown scrimmage, they went at it pretty good. Monday they were off, but as we saw yesterday was a tough practice because they were grinding through that humidity, which was something I was going to bring up if we were okay today weather-wise. I was kind of wondering if with that oppressive humidity and heat that was going on, if there would ever be a consideration to change a practice time from 2:25 in the afternoon to take it into the morning, and maybe get the morning work done. And I don't know if it's some kind of thing in their minds where they say, hey, listen, we have such a tight schedule. No, it's 2:25. But I was just kind of wondering, or is this something that they say, hey, we're going to grind through this?
Well, do you grind through it because in the month of September you could be playing in this?
I would say that, and I was thinking about that because I knew that point might come back at us if I brought this up. So I was going to say to you, I remember last year it was hot in Baltimore, but then we played a Thursday night game against Cincinnati, and it was okay? But then I remember we played, and we came back home and played Indianapolis, and it was nice. It was kind of cold.
Yes.
So I get it. We might play in the heat. There's no doubt about it. Kansas City could be very, very hot on September 12th. It really could. But, I was just wondering if maybe you could throw a change of pace. But they have really gotten so much work in. This has been a great camp as far as what he wants to get done, I think, and getting it done on time. There is never a wasted moment out there on the practice field. Their meetings as a team are brief, and I get the impression they are so organized, they are timed, and then they're back out doing the next thing. There's not a lot of lollygagging that goes on.
No, absolutely not. And I almost wonder, on Sunday, Coach Stefanski was asked about preparing for Jacksonville, and he said, you know what, on Thursday, we'll probably do a little install and get ready for Jacksonville, but we still have a lot of things we have to work on. I wonder if being in the field house today, that gets flip-flopped. And they practice tomorrow maybe a little bit more than they were going to, and maybe
Thursday,
today's
right.
the install day for Jacksonville.
Yeah, and with every game, even though it's a preseason game, and I'm not saying they would put any kind of in-depth game plan in for a game like this, but you have to go in organized. You have to go in with something. And, of course, still of interest to everybody, and I'm sure you get this, Jason. I certainly get it when we leave here and go out into our lives. People are wondering who's going to play. How much are they going to play? Are we going to see Mayfield on Saturday night? Are you going to see Chubb and Hunt? I am leaning towards no, but I don't have a definitive answer on that. The coach said the other day, in fact, yesterday, maybe by Thursday, we might be able to steer you into the direction of how much time these guys are going to play or if they're going to play at all. But I get the feeling it's not only here, but league-wide, nobody's playing. If you're a starter,
the Packers came out yesterday and said Aaron Rodgers isn't playing till opening day.
Yeah,
I mean, guys are sitting.
Didn't they say that about Matthew Stafford too? He's not going to play. Sean McVay came out, said that he's not going to play.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is going to be a chance for a lot of these younger guys to get some work. Some of these rookies to get their first taste of league action. Maybe we're going to see a lot of this rookie class and like the second-year guys.
Yeah, I definitely think you would see that anyway, but you might see it for the bulk of the game, for the length of the game. You could see Kyle Lauletta a lot on Saturday night. You really could. You could see Kyle Lauletta a lot, and you may only see Case Keenum a little, if at all. I don't know what the situation would be at quarterback, and I don't know that we would see Baker Mayfield at all. And the other thing I was wondering, if these guys weren't going to play and you made the definite decision we're not going to play, is there any sense why take them? Why take them down to Jacksonville?
Especially knowing what awaits you in Jacksonville, meaning maybe the COVID hotspot of America right now.
Good to know as we get our first road trip, huh? Good to know that we're going down there. Why not start off at the top?
I don't think the travel party will be leaving the hotel. I don't think we're going to be leaving other than going to the game, and that's it.
So, I mean, indoors today, they'll be back tomorrow, and they'll travel Friday down to Jacksonville on Saturday night. And Nathan, right now, just to tell you what he's doing, Nathan's part of the television broadcast over on Channel 5 coming up on Saturday night. I'm not allowed to say that. I believe that's a no-compete. Is that a no-compete for me?
Yeah, you're good. I think you're safe.
We'll see when I go to my other job when I walk in. Hey, what are you doing, Sam? Anyway, the game is on Channel 5 on Saturday night. Nathan is going to be the sideline reporter working with Tom McCarthy, who'll be doing the play-by-play, and Joe Thomas, who I think will be superb. And I'll tell you why. Because I've listened to Cleveland Browns daily and constantly text you when I'm driving around, and I'm driving around a lot. And when he did the week with Nathan like last week, the stuff I learned from Joe Thomas was absolutely amazing. Stuff that, you're around the game a lot, but gosh, he is such a technician. I never knew how precise blocks had to be and where your hand position had to be. I just thought you went into the guy and tried to win the battle.
I mean, it goes back to what he said the one day on CBD with us, even further back than last week. He had from the time they break the huddle, he has like a 63-point checklist before they snap them. I'm like, wow, who has time for that?
Yeah.
But he does, and I mean, he will be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He said this, we had him on Training Camp Daily the last week. We did a nice interview with him. It's always great talking to him. And I said, hey, it's Hall of Fame weekend going on, which it was last week down in Canton. Do you watch that, and are you watching that and saying, hey, listen, this could be me in a couple of years? And he said, I am very comfortable with my resume. And I think he should be. He should be very comfortable with his resume. That will be great.
Exactly.
That will be a great moment.
Maybe that's the next time we play in the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, that's right. Wouldn't you think that they would probably make that happen?
I would think so.
Yeah. I mean, when Ozzie went in, and the Browns were coming back into the NFL that year in 1999, that was their first show that they played in the Hall of Fame game against the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe you're right. We'll be back in
1999.
Yeah. Kudos to the people down in Kent. They had a great week last week. I know it was a lot of hand-wringing. I mean, there were a lot of enshrinees, 2 classes, 2020, 2021, twice the fun. Isn't that what they called it?
Yes.
Double the fun or whatever, and they did a great job down there. Hey, I was going to bring this up, and I want to congratulate Nate Burleson. He just got a big promotion at CBS. He's coming off of Good Morning Football.
Yeah.
On the NFL Network, and he's going over to the CBS Morning Show. I'm wondering, is that kind of like they saw the success of Michael Strahan, going from and going from over to Good Morning America and doing the Fox football thing on Sunday.
Yeah. It was interesting this morning because he's been there for 5 years. He's been there since the inception of the show, basically. And he's the first of the 4 to go on and do other things. Now, he did say, I'm still going to be doing stuff with NFL Network. He goes, you'll still see me on Nickelodeon, which leads me to believe that they'll have a few more games on Nickelodeon.
And he'll still do the NFL
CBS,
Today?
Yep, on Sundays. So he's going to have his plate quite full. But
when he came here, Jason, and he was certainly at the end of his playing career, the thing that I noticed the most about him when he got here was his style. He was an impeccable dresser.
Yes,
I mean it, and I thought that, and I think that was one of the avenues he was going into. I think he really wanted to design men's clothes, and he was an impeccable dresser. He had a very unique style, and my gosh, he went on the air and he's just really excelled. He's done very good. I mean, that show on the NFL Network has really groomed him because it's live, it's long in length, and you get an opportunity to really spread your wings. You get your opinions out there. You organize your thoughts. It's not like doing a game where you're in and out, right, talking over a replay.
Sure.
So good for him.
And it's funny because he was only here for a training camp.
That's right.
I think we all wanted him to make the team because I remember doing an interview when I was full-time with ESPN Cleveland. We were at camp every day, and we did – I think it was a Saturday or Sunday interview, and it was a show out at camp, and Munch at the time was the host, and they said, hey, so-and-so a player couldn't do it. We're going to bring in Nate Burleson. I said, okay. Well, anytime you get a wide receiver on.
Sure.
This guy sat down, talked for like 22 minutes. Like PR was telling, hey, he's got to go to lunch. He's got meetings. And Burleson kept waving them off. We tried to rap. He goes, no. Like, I'm here to talk.
Right.
And he was insightful. He was entertaining. He had it. And I remember he got up from that table. To this day, he's like, here's my cell. If you ever need anything, he's always been prompt to respond, and he's been great with his time whenever we've needed something from a team standpoint, from a show standpoint, which he's been on a couple times, more than a couple. He just such a good person, and his media career is skyrocketing.
Yeah. The arrow's pointing up there. I also will say this about him. In the resurgence of the Browns, as we're putting this thing together and it's going in the right directions, he's been a big booster on that show on the NFL Network. He's recognized that it looks like they've got it right, with the organization, certainly with Stefanski, with what they're doing with the team, with the free agents they've got coming in here, with what happened last year. I'm not saying he's got like orange and brown pom-poms, but I think he recognizes, and he seems to have a spot in his heart here. And you're right, he was only here for a training camp.
Yeah.
It's not like he was here 5 years.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it was funny. He said, I played 4 years of college ball, 4 years in Minnesota, 4 years in Detroit, 5 years with NFL Network. I think there was another thing in there. It was all 4 years, and Good Morning Football is the longest he's been somewhere. And he said it was a very difficult decision to leave. And you just wonder how much you can continue to do all the NFL stuff, knowing what you're doing in morning drive every day.
And that's a tough
grind.
Yeah, and not only that, that's a tough show. The morning network morning shows right now, it's a 2-horse race, and it has been for a long, long time. And the show he's going on isn't one of the horses. It's the Today Show and Good Morning America. And this show has been trying to get some get some legs underneath and get some momentum. And they've tried a lot of different people in their combinations. Gayle King is in there. He's replacing Anthony Mason, who's a real hardcore newsman. So it looks as though good luck to him. That's great. Good for him. Hey, I wanted to ask you this because I did it on the news last night. I'm not worried about Myles Garrett. This issue. I mean, I thought he looked very good yesterday. I know it's a hamstring issue, and he was fantastic Sunday. I mean, he was unblockable, as he always is. And I'm not worried about Denzel Ward. So when you had to do the story last night that Denzel Ward didn't practice, he's got soreness, Myles Garrett has a hamstring issue. But I don't want people to really push the panic button on that, because I didn't think there was a panic button to push yesterday. Now, the coach has to say why they're not practicing. He has a little bit of a hamstring issue. But I didn't think it was in the category of Delpit or something like that, where something had arose where he's going to miss a lot of time.
Or the Rashad Bateman injury in Baltimore here this morning,
he's
soft tissue injury. Harbaugh says he's going to be out weeks.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No.
This is not
I
is
don't
a
get
preventative.
this
is we were
maintenance.
Talking about,
maintenance.
We were talking about it off the air. The number of things that Brad Mellon and Joe Sheehan, our equipment guru and our head athletic trainer, vice president of training and sports performance downstairs, they've got guys are strapped up to things. Like, they have a bunch they go through electronic electrodes on their bodies that tell them, if someone's muscle is tightening to the point where it could
pop.
Where it could pop or where it could pull. And I think it's preventative. And frankly, Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, as Beau Bishop likes to say, put them in bubble wrap and we'll see you in Kansas City.
Yeah,
we
September
know what
12th.
You can do.
Yeah, September 12th.
Yeah. I don't think there's any need to even see what they're
Well, I think when the news came out yesterday, people went, oh, no, it's starting to hit them. And Denzel Ward, because that's been an issue with Denzel Ward missing games. Is he going to be out a long period of time? I really believe this is just – and like I said at the top of the show, the work that they have gotten done would lend a lot of credibility to the coach saying to players like Ward, who has done a lot of work individually and in the team aspect, and Myles Garrett the same way, hey, listen, let's take our foot off the gas pedal a little bit and pace ourselves here. But I just, how people can get with the injuries.
Yeah, and I think
and they're so zeroed in on this team this year that they would really like to put the whole team, as you say, or as Beau says, in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to see them play on Saturday night, but they don't want to see anybody limp.
No, and I think at the defensive end position right now, and Nathan could speak further on this, but, Tack McKinley hasn't practiced since practice number 2.
Right.
So you're a little thin on the depth front at defensive end, so take the precautions. Let's see what these young guys can do. Let's see which young guys can step up from a depth standpoint. And let's be honest, I can remember, I think, one day that Myles got a veteran day off. Otherwise, he's practiced every day. And, he's done everything that you need to. And I wonder, this goes back to the number of guys that were off yesterday resting. A lot of veterans got their day of, and maybe there's a little bit of rest this week after a couple hard weeks, knowing next week you have joint practices.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That joint practice is going to be – you have to remember that, everybody. They've got Jacksonville Saturday and a couple of practices before then. But next week, they have the Giants coming in for a game. But before the game, they have 2 practices with them here in Berea. And that might be the level of work that will be the most or the highest level that would get them ready for the start of the regular season. And it might not be the game, and it might certainly not be the Atlanta game, okay? It might be the 2 practices against the Giants where they go, okay, ready. Here we go.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I feel like next week is going to be the week that you're going to see a lot of these starters, with the joint practice, because you gotta have an idea of where you're at defensively with up to 9 new faces. Yep. Offensively, with guys that have missed some time or coming back from injuries, this is where you need to see everything. And, that leads into that Sunday afternoon, rare Sunday afternoon.
I never remember
game.
a Sunday afternoon game. Now, we used to play a couple of Saturday afternoon games, and there was a traditional game up in Green Bay, and it had something to do with the Catholic religion. It was either the cardinal up there or a bishop, and it was a charity game, and they would play it at Lambeau Field, and we were involved in that a couple of times. But I never remember a Sunday afternoon preseason game.
No. I don't either.
Yeah.
This is a rarity, but I think next week is your week where you're going to see these guys, and then I don't know what happens in Game 3 yet. I mean, normally that would be your dress rehearsal. Maybe the Giants game ends up being your dress rehearsal.
Right. Yeah. Hey, one other thing. Are we going to break pretty soon here?
Yeah.
All right. One other thing I want to tell you. Last night when I got home, I was on my computer, and I saw the Browns recap that NFL Films does. It was released. It looked like it was released yesterday. They call it a yearbook now, the Browns yearbook from last year.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. And I would urge people to go. It's called The Wait Is Over. And I saw it on YouTube. And it's very emotional. I mean, it's going to take you back to how great last year was. And it's really well done. Yeah, it's called The Wait Is Over. It's the Browns yearbook. Now, they have all the teams, that they do it every year, but you'll love this one. It really is great because what a great story it was last year. But now you're going to see it in pictures and with, great NFL Films video, great mic'd up segments. Fantastic. Great watch. It's about a half hour.
All we got to do now is get your NFL League Pass up and running. And
Which,
then we'll be good.
Let me tell you something. That's why I'm up. That's why I was on the computer seeing if that thing was working. I need that thing. That's my lifeline.
We've had other national people. I've seen Dan
really?
Orlovsky complaining. He's like, I can't watch the All-22 to get ready for any of these games.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
I don't know what's going on. NFL.
I gave my $99.99. I didn't steal a code, NFL. I took the $99.99 and I rolled it over automatically. I need Game Pass. I need Game Pass like tonight.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I would urge Browns fans to go do that. Go watch it. I saw it on YouTube. It's called The Wait Is Over. It's the 2020? The 2020 Cleveland Browns yearbook. It's fantastic. You'll shed a good tear. You really will. All right, we'll be back with more Cleveland Browns Daily. Go ahead.
I believe we'll have Kevin Stefanski's presser on the other side of this timeout.
We'll have that, okay, and so much more today on an indoor day for the Browns coming up today. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily on this Wednesday. Jim Donovan along with you with Jason Gibbs. Nathan Zegura will be popping in soon. He is right now in a production meeting as they get set for the televised portion of the game coming up on Saturday night, the Browns and Jaguars. Just to update you on what's gone on here in Berea today, the heavy rain and the storms that blew in this morning took the team indoors during their walkthrough, and they will practice indoors today. Unfortunately, because of that, that keeps the practice closed for the public to be able to come in today, but the public has had a great time so far. The crowds have been good, Jason. They really have.
Yeah, and I mean, some of it's not ideal. Like, we would like fans to be able to walk all the way around like they have in the past.
Right.
You know, it's been a little tough, you know, with COVID restrictions and whatnot, but it's the league protocols, and you're playing with what you can do.
Yeah. So unfortunately, and I know some people have been driving up here today, and they've been getting the bad news that they're not going to be allowed in. That's the way it goes. This is the first time that weather has hit the team so far during this training camp. Now, there have been other camps where they have just been swamped, and they've been indoors more than they've been outdoors. You know what I was thinking about when you talk about
Coaches up.
We're going to talk to – I'll get it on the other side. But right now, let's go to Kevin Stefanski. He's with the media right now.
All right, we are open for questions, and the first one will be from –
You're down.
Hey, Kevin, can you give us an update on David Njoku, please, and whether you'll get him, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, or, Clowney, any of the guys back?
Yeah, David in particular, he's working through an injury, so I think we'll see him out there limited. And the rest of the guys, we're just going to continue to be smart with them and see what they can do off the field as we make sure we're taking care of them in the short term.
And with Denzel, do you have a better feel? Because soreness is pretty mysterious to us. Is it something that you think will linger for a while, or do you think, is soreness an indication that it's not something to be very concerned about?
No, not trying to be mysterious. He's working through some soreness, but he's doing a nice job. He's close.
Thanks, Nate. Jeff Shadell's next.
Hey, Kevin, I know we've talked about him before, but Bill Callahan, since we just got done talking to him about an hour ago, could you really go into what makes him so special as an offensive line coach?
Yeah, I'm happy to, Jeff. He's very sharp. He's meticulous. He coaches his guys hard, but he's very fair. He's got a great demeanor. He's excellent as a game planner. He's been through a lot. He's seen a lot as a coach. So he provides great value there to myself, to the other assistant coaches. But then just on a specific technique level, I just think he and Scott Peters do an outstanding job with our players in getting them better and utilizing techniques that get them better. So I think he's obviously outstanding in that regard.
Thank you, Jeff. Dale Ryder, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, just curious, have you asked the Haslams for a bigger indoor field house yet?
No. We can get our work done in there. It's going to be a lot of bodies. It's going to be hot and humid, but we can get our work done.
Just to follow on that, just real quick, though, what will you have to scale back today? And, I know you said you're still going to get your work done, but having 50 yards and 90 guys doesn't seem like it is going to be all that efficient. So could you just maybe run through some of the challenges and what you'll have to, scale back?
Yeah, obviously we'd prefer to be outside if we can, but unfortunately, we got to go inside. I think the good news is we're working red zone today. We're working goal line today. So those are smaller area drills, if you will. And we've been in there before with the full team. So we'll space out as much as we can. And the intensity ramps up when you're inside and there's shorter area and you're not running from one field to the other. So we'll definitely get our work done.
Thanks.
Thanks, Daryl. Mary Kay Cab is next.
Hey, Coach, in talking to Jeff Howard today, we were asking him a little bit about Grant. He mentioned that Grant Delpit has only had an opportunity to play in about 9 of the team reps this season so far. Just wondering what is the outlook for Grant in terms of, in addition to the hamstring, obviously he's got the Achilles, in trying to get ready and up to speed so that perhaps he could contribute early on in the season, maybe even in the Kansas City game?
Yeah, he's working hard, Mary Kay, to get back out there. And it's just, you can't rush that process. So when he's ready, he'll be out there, and reps are a premium. We all know that. We talk about it all the time. So there's no substitute for those reps. So when he's ready, he's going to get a bunch of them, and it's what you do with those reps that matter, as you guys all know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Kay. Scott Patrick, go ahead.
Hey, Kevin. Yesterday we saw JC, take himself out of a drill, and they wound up being fine and going back in. But I was just curious, as a coach, when you see something like that happen, or any guy get injured, how do you deal with that, and what's your thought process when it happens?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want anyone to get injured at any point. And as we all are well aware, and the players are well aware, injuries are part of this game. And we try to do everything in our power to stay safe and protect each other, and practice really hard while taking care of each other. They try to do everything in their power prior to practice and training wise to make sure they're ready. But the stark reality is that injuries are part of the game. So fortunately, that was nothing serious for JC. I just, when I see something like that happen, I wait for the trainer to come over and give me an update, and got a good one in that particular play. But just got to make sure we get our work done and continue to take care of each other.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, Scott. We'll go to Dan Lobby.
Hey, Kevin, kind of along those lines, it did look like you kind of reminded the guys about that yesterday, but at the same time, we have a really competitive sort of, I don't know if heated is the right word, but that's sort of what it felt like watching yesterday. Is that a good thing for you guys, as long as guys are taking care of each other?
Yeah, definitely. It was hot out there. The guys were, when they're walking by me, I could hear their feet squishing because they got all the sweat in their feet. So yeah, you get hot and it can get physical, but the guys understand that there's a way we practice. You can get a lot of work done and take care of each other and be physical. You can fit up the runner and let him run. You can ball search. An offensive lineman can have a defensive lineman in position where in a normal game, you drive him into the ground, but you hold him up because he's your teammate. And it's vice versa. A safety can have a kill shot on a wide receiver coming over the middle, and you don't take that because it's your teammate. So the guys understand how we practice, how important it is to get our work in and do it safely.
Thanks, Dan. To Fred Greetham.
Hey, Coach. With your projected top three ends, and Clowney and Miles and McKinley not practicing yesterday, it gave a chance for Weaver and Gusta and some of them other guys. Can you just assess how they're coming along and giving you some depth there?
Yeah, they're doing a nice job. I think the guys understand how we want to play from a technical standpoint, from a scheme standpoint. Those defensive line individual drills are competitive. You see the guys pushing each other. So to see those young guys out there and getting reps and doing a nice job, I think is important. And it's going to be important to do it today and then do it under the lights down in Jacksonville so we can evaluate these guys.
Go to Matt Fontana next.
Yeah, Kevin, I'm sorry if you said this or it's been asked, but you talked about the play calling in the preseason yesterday. Is it safe to assume you will be calling plays again this year for the regular season?
Yes.
And kind of off of that, we've heard so much from Baker talking about year two of the system, but now you're year two of a head coach and a play call in this system. How much more comfortable are you now that everybody's kind of had a year under their belt? Yeah,
I think that's kind of what it is, Matt. Getting a year under your belt as an offensive staff, the communication that has to occur during a game, the communication that occurs between me and the defensive staff, the game management side of things. So we do have a year under belt. We know how we want to be better. We know how we can communicate better. And just talking about play calling, it does give me the opportunity to mention we do it very collaboratively. I'm very, very fortunate to have coaches on my staff that have called plays before, guys that are outstanding on game day in particular, and making sure that I have all the information that I need.
Next up, Tom Withers.
Thanks, Rob. Hey, Coach, when I mention Wyatt Teller, what's the first thing that pops into your head?
I met his wife yesterday, so I got to say something nice. Tenacious, physical football player, can oftentimes is playing through the echo of the whistle. So he brings certainly a physicality to that group.
Yeah, I asked him before who the toughest guy on the team was, and I told him he couldn't say himself, and so he didn't. But what does it mean to have that kind of guy with that kind of an attitude? How infectious can that be across a team, Kevin?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams have that guy that plays a style, and if you're fortunate, you have multiple versions of that player. It's a physical football game, and to be able to have guys, particularly along the offensive and defensive line, like we do, that play a physical brand of football, I think it just plays into who we are as a team. So Wyatt is certainly part of that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. We have time for one more. Tony Grossi.
All right. I know you won't divulge all your play times, but would you at least admit that Baker will play in this game?
Admit that Baker will play, did you say?
Yeah.
Baker's not going to play in this game. I'll give you that one, Tony. But I'll let you guys know tomorrow. I'll give you a rundown tomorrow.
I'm sorry, did you say he will not play?
Confirmed. Will not play.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, thank you for the time.
All right.
All right, you are up.
All right, Nathan Zegura back with you guys here.
Hey, it's good to have you in.
It's great to be with you.
I mean, really, I was like doing a telethon.
Gibby, you got to come on, Gibby.
No,
Give him a little more than that.
No, he was doing a great job. He was over at the tote board. Give me a tote board. Give me the tote board. How much have we raised?
Like the Jerry Lewis telethon.
That's right. Labor Day. I used to spend Labor Day. Give me with Ed McMahon. Go roll the tote board.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, it is great to be with you. We are indoors, as will the team be today, because practice has been moved indoors, and it's unfortunate the Browns will not be able to practice in front of their great fans today. So all of you are planning on coming out. I'm sorry, but practice will be indoors due to the inclement weather here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus. Nathan Zegura, Jim Donovan with you now for the next hour and 15 minutes. The Browns will hit the indoor facility in just about 45 minutes to get rolling here, and we heard one bit of news, at least from Kevin Stefanski, there is that Baker Mayfield won't play. Not a surprise, and I think tomorrow you'll get a long and distinguished list of guys who will be joining him on the sideline.
So we talked about this and kind of braced everybody for this because I know a lot of people have been saying, I can't wait to see them on Saturday night, and you kind of go pump the brakes on this now, okay? But I bring up the point that maybe we touched the other day because the days are running together, but the Giant practices, which will be Giant practices, but those practices against the Giants probably figure into what they're going to do, very much into the plan around these 3 preseason games, don't you think?
Without question, and many coaches around the NFL, and I think Kevin Stefanski is one of them, would tell you that those matter more to them for the top line, for their starters, for the top 22 on this team, than the preseason, because you can get great work in against another team's starters in a safe and controlled environment. And I think that's what they look forward to the most. Now, this game has plenty of intrigue, and for the guys whose names are not called tomorrow by Kevin Stefanski in the roll call of you have the day off, these are guys who are either for injury having to play who are already on the team, but a lot of these guys are guys who are competing to make their case to make this roster or to make the case for playing time in some very crowded rooms. And for a guy like Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's had a tremendous training camp, can he continue that against the Jacksonville Jaguars and maybe cement himself as your number 3 receiver? And for Hollywood Higgins saying, look, every time I play, I'm productive. I'm a gamer. I'm going to show you against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
How much more does this is yearly that Hollywood Higgins has to go out and dance for supper. I'm telling you, it's really I think it fuels him.
I think it does as well.
And certainly, I mean, he got a reprieve last year, with the new regime in and a new head coach, and he really took the bull by the horns. But the fact is that it's amazing how productive he is, and still at critical times becomes a very, very good target for the quarterback. And they obviously have a great, great rhythm with each other. And yet, each year annually since he's been here at this time, we talk about this a big, he's probably going to have to go out and do something, play pretty well. I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was Freddie's year when he was the head coach here. Remember, they played him deep into I think the 3rd or 4th, I think it was the 4th preseason game. They played him deep into the game. No, everybody else had baseball caps on.
Yeah.
But he does it, and he survives.
He does. And listen, last year, 52 catches, 599 yards, 4 touchdowns, all second most on the team. Career high 16.2 yards per catch. He started last season inactive.
He did. Yeah, that's right. That's important to remember.
As did Donovan Peoples-Jones, and those two would go on to become huge factors along with Jarvis Landry at that position. I don't think he has to prove anything. I think the Browns very much know what they have. I think when you look at the athletic profile, Donovan Peoples-Jones perhaps offers more upside, but all Hollywood Higgins does is go out there and make plays and walk that red carpet when he gets into the end zone. And,
that's
you know, you go back to that first year with Freddie, that opener against Tennessee when, everybody was so excited. It was a pass down to Hollywood that set up the first touchdown, and he actually got dinged up on that one. I think it was a 30-yarder, and then they ended up getting maybe, I think, a Dontrell Hilliard ran in a touchdown.
He did. Dontrell Hilliard
at the beginning
scored the touchdown, and then we missed the extra point.
And then we said, oh, boy, we know what happens
That's when
that
the air
happens.
started to go out of the balloon a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit early there. But Hollywood, I think, you think about the receiver room, and you think about Odell Beckham Jr., and you think about Jarvis Landry and DPJ Hollywood. Those 4 feel pretty good. Anthony Schwartz is making this team, and he's supposedly getting closer to getting back out there. So this is a battle for Demetric Felton and Kaderil Hodge and Jamarcus Bradley and Ryan Switzer to try to make a huge impression and say, I need to be here. And I'll tell you, Demetric Felton's getting more and more time with the receiver room, less and less with the running back room, and I think it's because they love what they see when he lines up. And he's a guy, I'm telling you, that they want to see a lot of on Saturday, and I think he's even going to get some opportunities early in that game with Case Keenum.
I love when I see him out there. He is dynamic. He really is. And I know that he really was dynamic last year. When UCLA started to figure it out with Chip Kelly last year, he was a big reason why.
The reason.
He was the reason why. You're right. I mean, and remember, they were kind of in a fog. Everyone kept saying, what the heck is going on? Where's the Chip Kelly magic? He kind of found it in a bottle, and it was Demetric Felton. It really was. But every time he's out there in this training camp, he's dynamic.
Yeah, it's exciting, and that's one of the things that you can't see out at training camp is how does his shiftiness, and he's a guy last year in the Pac-12, led the Pac-12 in all-purpose yards, led the Pac-12 in missed tackles forced per game. So does that translate, and do those things carry on to this level of football against the Jags is something I think that they will be looking at. Let's try to get the guy the ball in space and see what Demetric Felton can do. And I think those are the kind of storylines, those are the reasons to watch this game. How does this linebacking core? And look, you're going to see the names you know there because there's no other choice.
Yeah.
Montrell Meanders battling an injury. Tony Fields remains out. They're not going to rush Anthony Walker Jr. back. No. So you think of your 6 linebackers, and that's all you have going into the game is those 6. You got Mack and Phillips and Taki and Malcolm Smith, the veteran, J.O.K. and Elijah Lee. So those guys are going to have to all play a fair amount.
You know, and I understand the concern about that but it will be fun watching them.
That should be the best unit on our team.
I think as a group, that will be an interesting unit to watch because that's what you're going to have. And, of course, you'll get the additions when the other guys are ready to play, and that will make them even better. But it will be fun watching them play because I feel a lot more confident in them. Even last year, I thought by the end of the year last year, I thought they were okay. I thought they were good. I thought when Phillips was healthy, you could see what the vision was for him, how athletic he was, how fast he was, how sideline to sideline he was. And I'm a big Taki fan.
Of course.
I just think he plays. He's a real blue collar, goes out there, and he's made a lot for himself, you know, with maybe not the athletic ability that some other guys come in with.
Yeah. But you're right. Think about Jacob Phillips, week 17, has to start at the Mike linebacker in a win-and-get-in game, has double-digit tackles and holds it down. Taki was Pro Football Focus's number 2 graded linebacker against the run, 13th overall. So physical, improved his space play. Yeah. And Mack, at the end of the year, his best game was in Kansas City.
Yeah. Now, remember, too, there was a big turnover in the late part of the second half in the win-and-you're-in game against Pittsburgh, and it was M.J. Stewart.
M.J. Stewart.
Yeah, but remember, it was Phillips that broke through and really forced Rudolph to make that throw.
Early.
Yeah, that was a big play.
And M.J. Stewart, that's a name to watch this Saturday if you're looking for another
It really
reason.
is, isn't it? I mean, it really is. The ball finds him. He finds the ball. He had some big picks last year.
Pick week 17, pick in the game that they beat the Steelers in the playoffs.
Yes.
I mean, you think about trying to put yourself into Brown's lore, that's there. And look, you look at what's happening in the safety room. You know, I think we can assume at this point, and maybe I'm wrong, I'm not going to assume anything, but we know Ronnie Harrison, Grant Delpit, and Sheldrick Redwine won't play. They're still injured. So does John Johnson play? I'm going to guess he'll find his way onto the list tomorrow. No need to see John Johnson. We know what he can do. So you've got Javante Moffitt, an undrafted free agent last year, has been working with the ones. But MJ Stewart, who's never played safety before, has gotten a lot of cross-training, and I think he's going to get a lot of reps at safety in this game against the Jags. He's played nickel. He's been a great special teams player for him. Now he adds safety. That's a guy who can really cement himself.
You know, that's a term that you've been hearing a lot in these couple of weeks now, cross-training. You know, cross-training with Newsome, teaching him how to play inside a little bit, you know, and other players doing other things, kind of multitasking. Felton can be a guy that you can say he's cross-training and doing very, very well at it. But that's a new term now, and it's very, very – you hear it a lot from Kevin Stefanski that, and even his coaching staff, that they're really working with guys. That's how valued those roster spots are. The more you can do, the more you can do.
The more – well, I think it speaks to the level of competition that we have to make some very difficult decisions. And to your point, the more you can do. And not only for a guy like MJ Stewart is it, he can play some nickel corner for you. He can go play some safety for you. And this will be probably, you know, one of the first times he's ever played safety in his career. I know at this level, it certainly is. He might maybe in high school he did, you know, as you talk to some of these guys. But since college, he has not played safety, and he'll play safety, I'm sure, some Saturday down in Jacksonville. But it's that, and then if you're at the bottom of the cornerback room, if you're at the bottom of the linebacker room, if you're the bottom of the tight end room, the running back room, the receiver room, you've got to be on special teams. And so paying attention to the guys who get those opportunities and the guys who make the most of them, I think is also going to be very important on Saturday.
Now, Elijah Lee really always makes the most of that. I mean, you know, he really does. And I would have to say Dearness Johnson does too.
Love Dearness.
Yeah, he really he does. It's not just the return game.
No, he's on coverage.
He's on coverage, and he does very, very well on coverage.
He does.
Yeah.
And that's his and for Elijah Lee, you make a great point. That's his ticket. Led the team with 8 special teams tackles a year ago. And so just to not even get into a real deep dive, but think about the decisions that are facing this team at linebacker. You'd imagine you'd keep 6 because you need it for special teams. So you've got Anthony Walker, Jeremiah Wusu-Koramoah. I feel pretty good they're going to be on this football team.
I think you're safe.
Mac, Phillips, Taki. You feel probably pretty good about those 3, especially the way that Mac has played. Then you have Malcolm Smith, who's the veteran who played great for you last year. Elijah Lee. Now we're at 7, so we're over the line. Fields, at this point, injured. We haven't seen him, so I don't know how he can insert himself in there. But that Malcolm Smith, you know, Elijah Lee, maybe somebody that we're thinking is safe that might not. That discussion is going to center around a lot of what you can do on the field for me, but more importantly, what you can do for special teams.
Right.
So you got to think that gives a guy like Elijah Lee, especially if he can go play well, get a lot of reps at linebacker this week, a chance. So those are the things you're looking at. And by the way, that's a wonderful thing. We're not looking to see how does our quarterback look? How does this off? Are we okay on offense? It's
on the offensive line. Are
right,
we all right?
Yeah. Don't need to see those guys.
Remember, Nathan, a couple of years ago, the entire camp, we had a right guard a day. Right?
Like a 3-man rotation.
Yeah. I mean, it was unbelievable. And that's how we ended up with Wyatt Teller on the night of the last preseason game, is because they just didn't have an answer. Austin Corbett, they weren't comfortable. There were other people that they tried in there, and they just, I don't think so. You know, we got to do something.
Let's make a trade.
By
the way,
that was a heck of a trade.
That was worked out very, very. That trade actually went down while I was doing pregame for that final preseason game. I remember talking, we just made a trade. Here comes Wyatt Teller. And you looked at his resume and said, this guy started a lot of games as a rookie for the Bills. Surprised that he was available.
What a trade.
An excellent gift left behind from that legacy, no doubt about it. All right, we will take a break. Coming up in hour number 2, Gibbe emceeing the Cleveland Browns Daily Mailbag. What a treat that is going to be. Plus, at the bottom of the hour, we have my exclusive one-on-one with Browns defensive back coach Jeff Howard. We mentioned MJ Stewart. You'll hear his comments on MJ, what he's shown him, and also kind of let you know how Grant Delpit and Ronnie Harrison are keeping themselves very involved in this situation where they haven't been able to get out necessarily onto the field. It's all coming up hour number 2. Jim Donovan, the voice of the Browns, and me, Nathan Zegura. It's Cleveland Browns Daily. Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily from the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. Nathan Zegura, the voice of your Cleveland Browns. Jim Donovan. If your Social Security benefits have been denied, call the disability lawyers at 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Elk and Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Browns. Time now for the CBD Mailbag. Gibbs is MC, and we're going to take your questions at Browns_Daily for Nathan and Jim regarding the Browns and the NFL in general. Gibby, I remember why I don't like sitting in this seat. I need like a mirror right here so I can. Yeah. It's like I got my crazy, my wild child in the back seat that I need to be able to keep eyes on you. I got no eyes on you. I have to spin all the way around.
I mean, like can I tell you, all of the Danettes are right in front of Dan Patrick
for a good reason, right in front of him, so we can see them all.
Well,
McLovin.
Again, the whole studio design was definitely not.
You were not a part of the blueprints.
No, no. People like to throw me under the bus, and they think I was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a tremendous job by you. By the way, did you know that Miss K came in here the other day? She goes, "When did we get this new desk?" And I said, "It's been here for years."
Yeah, like 19 or
years.
20.
Multiple. No, definitely 19.
19, yeah, because we were,
Yes.
Yeah, it was 19. It was
years.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Right. You can tweet at the show, at Browns_Daily. Use the hashtag AskCBD. Jim, I have fans giving updates on our All-22 problem that we have going on.
Oh, my God, are they really?
We talked about it, Zegura.
Game Pass.
The whole Game Pass thing.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Former Trucker Dave says Mike Florio is reporting that the All-22 feature will return by the start of the season. Apparently, they transitioned to a different interface and temporarily lost the All-22.
What does that even mean? Where did it go?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why did they have to do anything?
Right.
It was perfect the way it was set up.
People liked it.
I love it. I live on it. I live on that and Hall's cough drops during the season.
You do. You do have.
You know that, right?
Buy stock right now.
That is a peek behind the curtain. The secret to the longevity.
I spoke to your partner from last week. The first thing I did, I had Cherry Halls in my pocket.
Have some.
I said, Joe, Big Joe Thomas, I heard you're having a little voice issue. You're going to live on these. Take one right now. They're free.
From one half to another.
Yeah.
That's good advice. Follow it. Listen to it.
Let's see. Howard Snyder tweets at the show. Can you discuss the difficulties of paring down the defensive end room, linebacker room, and defensive tackle room? Going to be some difficult decisions. Go Browns. I think we talked about the linebacker room a little bit earlier.
We have. Let's go to the defensive end room.
Which we talked about a lot yesterday.
We did.
Yeah.
Quite a bit because it was a day of opportunity for guys. And right now, look, Miles and Clowney are on the roster. Takk McKinley is a 100 billion% lock if he is back to be on this roster.
And we're really hoping that he's back.
I think that he is far more important and a guy that they are far more excited about than people realize at this point. So those three. So then it's Porter Gustin, it's Cameron Malveaux, and I think it's Curtis Weaver battling for one, maybe two spots there. Joe Jackson was here last year and played at times, but late in the season it was Malveaux who got activated over him, and it was Malveaux who was ahead of him yesterday. So I think these preseason games are going to be massive for those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Gustin a lot. I think he's he's popped into the frame an awful lot. He had that great interception in the playoff game. I watched him yesterday before practice, and I mentioned this on the show. I could sense he knew it was an important day. Imagine that. There are guys that realize a practice. I sound like Allen Iverson now.
Talking about practice.
Yeah, a practice is so important, and yet it is. It's very important. Everything's on film.
It's all on film, and it's if Takk is back, you're likely competing with these guys for a spot, one spot at defensive end.
Let's say worst case scenario, and but would they have to go? Would they ever look?
I think anything would be on the table.
Would it be on the table that you're at a point where you're going to win this year, and you want to make sure that you batten down the hatches there at that position? Would you at some point say, this is too iffy right now, we got to look?
So what you would be looking for.
And when would you start doing that?
Probably
now?
Now, just in case, but you'd be looking for a guy who can rush with speed off the edge and beat one-on-ones. And guess what? Those guys aren't out there.
Yeah, they're on rosters.
They're on rosters.
Yeah,
Now,
teams don't let them go.
I was doing a bunch of different things this morning, so I didn't see it. So Gibbe and Jim, I don't know if you guys saw more about the why, but I did see Aldon Smith, who played very well for the Dallas Cowboys last year. When we played him, he had a very nice game in that one. He was released by Seattle today, and I would have to imagine that has very little to do with Aldon Smith on the field, but I didn't know if you guys saw anything
I did not
about
see
the why.
Did you? I did not see anything about that.
Because he's a guy that played at a high level last year that is now suddenly available.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens here. But dealing with the guys that we're dealing with here, not going outside yet or having to go outside yet, and hopefully we don't. Saturday night would be a night that you would really look for some of the names that you mentioned right there to break through and take the lead.
Yes, and I think that there's a sense.
And I don't know if it's a marathon, everybody. I mean, you got to do it now.
Now, I think every day that you put yourself in a better position in that room is helping you. You want to be the leader in the clubhouse, as we talked about. And so I think guys who generate pressures in this game, somebody were to get a sack in this game, some quarterback hits, that's what they're going to be watching. Who can be disruptive at that position? And then defensive tackle, I think at one point we thought was pretty cut and dry, and I'm not as sure if it is anymore. I think here's what we know. Malik Jackson.
In.
Andrew Billings.
Definitely in. Togiai. I'm going to say Togiai's in.
And Jordan Elliott is a guy that I think everybody, at least coming into the offseason, was the one they expected to make a huge leap. Last year's third-round pick. You would think he's in. Sheldon Day's having a heck of a camp. I can tell you that. And he's a 5-year veteran. Impossible to block in one-on-ones. He's had a heck of a camp. Malik McDowell was very intriguing, and I think it's a bummer that he is not going to be able to play.
Yeah, that's an oblique. That's an oblique, everybody, right?
That's right. Well, now it's a rib, oblique rib. We're in the same geographical area here, as I understand it.
Yeah.
And then you have Marvin Wilson and the 9-year veterans. We talked about Damian Square. So I think Jordan Elliott, Togiai, Sheldon Day, Wilson, Square, they want to make plays. Those are the guys that want to stand out in this game against the Jags.
Keep in mind that guys like Day and Square know how to do it, and they make teams. And they've been around too.
Yeah.
Now, again, they know how to get it done. So they know what they need to do to make the team.
They do. That's what's going to be, I think there are a lot, even though we're not, who knows what we'll see. We know Baker isn't playing, and we'll get a full list tomorrow.
Right.
So you can imagine there are probably going to be big names on that list. But this game, the intrigue comes in the guys that are fighting to make this roster, and we'll get a lot of opportunities to stand out.
Logan tweets at the show, great Twitter handle, at King Stefanski. What game is Jim looking forward to calling this season? I'm going to tweak it a little bit. What game are you most looking forward to this season for both of you? And you can't say Kansas City because we're all looking forward to Kansas
that's
City.
true. Yeah.
The next one. Sorry, that was sorry. I was channeling Coach Stefanski. Sorry about that.
There have been so many times that we have been late in the year, too many times, when we would play the Ravens and the Steelers, and we'd be playing out the string, and they would not even be playing their regulars, right? So when that combination comes up very late in the season, I hope that they are big games, and I love the home games when they're here, and they're big late in the season. Even though we lost that Monday night game against Baltimore last year, it was late in the year. There was a ton on the table, especially for them. Remember, they needed to win out to get in, and remember what a game that was. But that feeling, that big game feeling of late in the season, divisional titles, certainly playoff spot up for grabs. Those are the games I'm really looking forward to, and I hope that's the scenario. I really do. I think that's the part of those 80s teams that I missed.
I'm with you. And the first thing I was going to say was Sunday night in Baltimore against the Ravens.
That's it. And you want that to mean something.
You do. Well, and listen to this 5-game stretch, and assuming that we are very much in the mix, you get the Ravens, bye week Ravens, which is one of the most unusual scheduling quirks ever. Raiders at home, at Packers Christmas, at Steelers Monday Night Football. I mean, you want fun November, December football? That's it right there.
That's it, yeah. I mean, would you agree, Jason? I mean, too many times we've gone into the game and said, well, the Steelers have their playoff position locked up, so they're going to – Cam Hayward's not going to play. Big Ben's not going to play. No one's going to play.
It was like a fourth preseason game.
Yeah, I mean, really. So I want all the the dice on the table. Let's go. That's where we want to be. And all week long in the town, you're building up to that. Even if you're watching on television, NBC's doing a big promo about the game on Sunday night. Sunday night is football night in America, and it's the Browns there.
And you think about a couple of years ago, and you don't have to go back that far, but let's talk, Steelers-Ravens heyday. When that was a Sunday night game, you felt like you were watching.
Do you remember that? I think there was a time they played on Christmas Day, and Pittsburgh came back late in the game and put together a true Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown rally, and it was just unbelievable game, back and forth. And everything riding on it, the division title, home field, bye in the opening round, and that's where you want to be. And then you want to win it. But, let's just get the invitation first.
Agreed. We'd like to go to that party. But there was that year, it felt like 5 years in a row when every Ravens-Steelers game was a 3-point game. They were all big-time games and featured, and that's what we hope to get going in this division.
I remember Antonio Brown catching a big touchdown.
That's right, and it was
seconds
back and forth,
left, and it was the team with the ball last was going to win the game.
And I think it was Christmas Day, and I remember, why is this not? This is Christmas.
Yeah. Take that.
This
take
is a
that,
great
NBA.
Christmas present. Yeah, take that. Right. Yeah, I'm tired of watching LeBron and Steph Curry. Give me the Steelers and Ravens, but put the Browns in there.
Now the Browns.
Now the Brownies.
All right, real quick, because we've got 2 minutes, and this is a question more so from me because we didn't get to this earlier, from Tom Pelissero yesterday. Unlimited players can return from a team's injured reserve list in 2021. They're eligible after missing 3 games rather than 8 weeks per source. A popular change spawned by COVID challenges stays for another year. I know, Zegura, you tweeted about this yesterday, but what this means and why it's a good thing.
It's great. It used to never make sense to me that if a guy was going to be out for 4 weeks, you had to throw him on IR and he could never come back.
Yeah.
This makes so much more sense. Well, we can have a roster spot because we need 53 guys to play this very physical game and demanding game. But when he's healthy, he's going to come back. Why not?
Go back to work.
It's hard enough.
Yeah.
You used to have to put him on and only one guy could come back after 8 weeks. I mean, this makes so much sense.
Right.
The taunting, not as much sense. This, so much sense.
You're upset about the taunting thing.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Still
we feel a little bit that there's more concern post-whistle right now than actually during the play. Post-whistle, okay? Taunting, celebration,
You're
things like that.
nitpicking. Let them celebrate.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. That's it.
Yes, agreed. All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have my exclusive one-on-one with Browns defensive back coach and pass game coordinator on defense, Jeff Hurd. It's a great staff.
They're really good in these interviews, too.
And I really enjoy talking to them, and I think you're going to enjoy this one with Jeff Howard. That's coming up next. Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily. Nathan Zegura and Jim Donovan, the voice of your Cleveland Browns, here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus in Berea. And today, unfortunately, due to weather, the Browns had to move their training camp practice number 12, indoors. So if you're planning on coming out here today, please don't. That practice probably just getting underway right now, Jim, 2:25. And one of the things that you're going to be looking for, especially on Saturday, we know some of the injuries in that safety room. We know Denzel, probably, I'm going to guess he hasn't been practicing, some soreness. It sounds like he would be not expected to play on Saturday. So the corners, the safeties, and this back end, so much change, so many new faces, so important to what Joe Woods wants to do. And the man who's running that room, Jeff Howard, I had a chance to catch up with him prior to today's practice in our exclusive one-on-one interview. Coach, a pleasure.
You're down.
You here finally in a game week. How excited are you and your guys to get out there and go against somebody not wearing brown and orange?
Yeah, it's great to see you, Nathan. Been a good summer. It's good to get back in training camp, back to see the guys. You know, we're in training camp 12 now. We installed a large portion of what we're doing on defense. We're excited about it. It's good to get these guys all together on the same field, put some work together and practice with one another, and then, you know, we've been competing against our offense. It'll be good to go out and see how we do against somebody else. So I know our guys are excited for that.
Let's start with the safeties. John Johnson, obviously. Everybody was excited when you got him in free agency. What have you seen from him now as he comes in as a leader and one of the guys really who's been healthy for you in that room?
Right. His availability has been huge for us right now, just staying healthy. I think he has the most snaps of all the safeties, but it's been, I think, work that he values and I know that we value, in that he is new to our system. You know, being in LA, they've done a lot of different coverage concepts, and so coming in here to see how we play things and how it fits into the other positions, I think it's been good for him. Those reps have been extremely meaningful for him. As a player, I think he sees the green really well, which I think is so important for the safety position. Staying ahead of the play, communicating effectively for the defense, getting us lined up with all the motions and shifts, and then not only doing that, but having your eyes at the right angle and having the athletic ability to make the breaks to get your hands on the ball, which is he's done, and we've seen that during camp.
Yeah, his ability to close definitely stands out when you watch him. Let's talk about Ronnie and Grant. Now, we got to see some of Ronnie early in training camp, but since then, both have really missed some time here. How are they staying involved, and you know, how are they mentally? We haven't been able to see them physically, but mentally, where you want them in this install and in some of the dime packages that we haven't gotten to see, but I know that we're working on.
So with those two, it's been extreme. You know, it's been unfortunate that they've been injured. I think Coach Stefanski does a great job of making his his vision for what we expect from those guys clear. Is when you're hurt, it's okay to be hurt, but you got to still be involved in the meetings. When we come out to walk through, they still get reps, and it's really the mental part of the game, which is so important, that we're trying to make sure that they see. But we really want them to get back out to practice. We realize that that's so important, and I think they realize that. And getting back out there, having those guys will ultimately allow our defense to do some different things, but we got to see what they put on tape. So we're waiting for that.
How important is it for Grant, especially? You've seen Ronnie. Ronnie's played in games. He's played very well for you. He's a difference maker. He's a guy that you noticed every time he was on the field, and I thought last year you noticed when he wasn't. But we haven't gotten to see Grant yet. How important is it for him, and what's his kind of mindset right now? Because I'm sure he's frustrated not being able to be out there.
Right. Absolutely. It's frustrating for everybody, for him not to be able to come out here. But I think he's trying to make the most of it, make the best of the situation, try to learn as much as he can. He's engaged in meetings, takes notes and does that thing. But it is important. Those reps are extremely important, because like any player will tell you, it's one thing to put it on the blackboard. It's another thing to go out and do it. And when bullets are live, things happen fast. And I think being able to practice is so really important for those positions. So we're looking forward to getting him back out here soon.
Those two have been out. Sheldrick has been out with that ankle injury, and that's an opportunity for somebody else. And the person who seems to be seizing that is Javonte Moffitt. And I remember what he did at the Orange and Brown scrimmage last year, a couple interceptions that kind of put him really on the radar. And now he's the one working out there with John Johnson with the ones. What has Javonte Moffitt shown you? Where has he developed?
I think that, Nathan, that starts with like the mentality of our room. We try to instill that early on them, and we had to do that last year, is the next man up mentality. And those guys know that, hey, just because you're not getting reps one day doesn't mean it's not going to change the next. And the whole expectation for them is when you get your shot, there's no step in and you get chances to screw it up. We're expecting you to go in and compete and do it at a high level. And that's something that I think our room really bought into last year. We had a lot of guys that played that hadn't had a whole lot of experience, but they went out and challenged and were competitive, and that's really the expectation of our room.
How has Javonte progressed from last year to this year to earn these opportunities?
He's done a good job. He's using the opportunity that he has. He's really, I think he's, spending so much time in the off season, like learning our defense, which I keep talking about staying ahead of the plays. If you can play with a little bit of expectation and knowing what's going to happen, you can play a little bit faster so controlling the perception. And he's done that. I think he is a little bit more comfortable, confident in the competition setting that he's in, and he's doing it at a high speed, which I think has been good for him. And I'm looking forward to what he puts on tape during the preseason.
Yeah, that'll be fun to see because there's a real competition brewing, I think, in your room now. Some opportunities presented itself. A guy like MJ Stewart, who was with the corners all of last year, getting some work now with the safeties and kind of that nickel safety hybrid, getting into some of those dime packages. How has he kind of handled that transition? And is this something that he wanted to do or something you guys approached him with?
Yeah, just kind of thought something with his skill set is something that he could help our team out. He does such a great job on special teams and really trying to mold a role for him that he can do successfully. And it's something he hadn't played in the past with safety, but we spent some time on it and, trying to use the reps that we have, and he's done a good job at it. It seems like every single day he's a little bit more confident, a little more comfortable in the position. But, yeah, playing that nickel role as well as the safety, I think is going to be good for him moving forward.
How has it helped him being a corner, knowing route concepts, knowing how they're trying to attack you, moving to safety? Because I've seen he's done a good job. He doesn't let anybody get behind him.
Yeah, he does. I think just it's a different perspective, but I think MJ does a good job of being a conceptual learner, big picture stuff, understanding big picture stuff, and he's been able to transfer that into playing the safety role. So yeah, it's not easy because playing out at corner, playing the safety is a completely different position, but shout out to him for doing such a good job and really buying into the role and making the most of it.
How is Richard LeCount coming along? This guy was first team All-SEC at Georgia. That's saying something. And obviously we know he had the accident. He's working his way back. But what have you seen from him that stands out to you so far?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we saw when you go back and look at him at Georgia. I think they have so many good players there, and he ended up having the highest snap count of anybody on the team, playing that safety dime role for him. And, he's come in, he's learned the system. It's a little bit different than what they did at Georgia, so it's taken him a little bit of time, but he's really tried to buy into it and kind of learn from the other guys. And I think that's what's good about our room is that we're working together. We're trying to make the most of it. And the older guys helping the younger guys out, younger guys helping the older guys out, kind of just having that family atmosphere.
Which is good. And another young guy, you kind of have a lot of these young guys. Elijah Benton, who was with you last year as well, coming in kind of in that strong safety role. How's he doing so far in camp?
Right. Elijah's doing good. Got to keep working on with communication, and he's a high-effort guy. But, another guy that has taken steps and making those safety roles so competitive.
All right, so you got the safeties and the corners. We know what Denzel can do. We don't need to talk much about him. We probably won't even see him in Jacksonville. Greedy coming back. He's looked pretty darn good. Kind of looks like Greedy Williams. You never got a chance to coach him until last year he missed most of the season. So how have you seen Greedy, and where are his strengths right now?
Yeah, I think that corner role is very competitive, which I'm excited about. I think I was very excited when I came here about Greedy Williams, just what we could develop and make him into, and I'm glad that we're back on path now that he's feeling better off that injury. But Greedy comes out, he competes. I think he's done a good job of playing the technique that we've asked him, understanding his role, and then always just playing at a high effort, and that's something that he's getting better at it every single day.
And he's competing, look, to get on the field, obviously, and you've got Greg Newsome, the first-round pick this year, and I know you really like his football IQ, his confidence, and the fact that you guys have asked him to play inside, play outside, and he kind of seems to gulp it all up.
Right. So Greg is an extremely intelligent kid. He's able to put, our conversations in the meeting room, he can take them out to the field and transfer that really quickly. Something that I haven't seen out of a whole lot of players. And then just being able to play inside and outside he's taken that coaching and been able to apply it, which isn't easy. I'm excited for what we have in Greg, and I think he's a very focused young man. Kind of has wisdom beyond his years a little bit. Is able to talk, has good questions in the meeting room, but also listens to others. And that's something that you really like to see out of a young player.
It is, and he's got some mix of veterans in there, and one who came in, Troy Hill, Youngstown native, kind of coming home, and you can see his grit out there. He's not afraid to come up and run support, to play out of that nickel, also playing outside for you. Has he brought some leadership into that room and some tenacity, it would look like?
That's a great word, tenacious, and I think that's something that describes him. I think his background, where he comes from, his history within the league, he has a chip on his shoulder, and I think you can see that when he goes out there and practices, and I'm excited what it looks like when he's out there on the field. But he's one, gritty guy, will get involved in the run game, but is also extremely quick and able to cover, which, as a coach, that's all you ask for. And, his football IQ from playing so many years in the league, that's something that I think is good for the room, and I think those young guys appreciate from him.
I bet they are. And speaking of those young guys, A.J. Green is a guy that the Browns really liked. You made him the highest paid undrafted free agent a year ago to get him into the program. He seems to have really developed. To my eye, I'm curious to see what you think, making some plays in camp, and where has he taken the biggest strides, and what kind of a role do you see for him on this football team?
AJ's had a good camp up to this point. The word that comes to mind with AJ is accountable. I think he's somebody that we can really rely on to always be doing the right thing at the right time, in the right position, alignments, eyes on the right thing, and just that consistency from him is something that stands out with AJ. But another guy that I think has a great opportunity in front of him, and I'm looking forward to see what he puts on tape for these coming games.
And he's got a nice length, too, as does Brian Allen and Robert Jackson, for that matter, the guys that are kind of in that battle to make this roster.
Right. All very similar body types, play outside for us. But those guys, too, they're doing a good job. Brian, we keep track of turnovers, and we track a lot of things during practice, and he ended up being the top guy of the defense the other day. He's done a nice job. And then Roberts, I think he's consistent outside, being able to play press man and use that length and speed to his advantage against these receivers.
Yeah, Brian, are you saying he was a bone collector? Did he get he got the bone collector.
The bone collector, yep, that's it. It's kind of like that's a high-priced trophy in our room. We've had and we keep track of who's had them. I think John Johnson had one yesterday, so we're up to 6 out of the 12 practices. So we're pretty psyched up about that.
I would say that's looking pretty good for your room. Any surprise bone collectors in that group?
Yeah, we've had a lot. Keandre Thompson had one. We've had a lot of different guys. AJ had one. Robert, John Johnson. Everybody's getting involved with it, but it's something that we're, as each position group, it's something that we're all looking for every time we go out to practice.
So in a preseason game like this is a chance for those undrafted free agents, a guy like Keandre Thomas or Emmanuel Rugamba. How do you see Keandre? He's a bone collector, so he's doing some good things out there. How is he progressing, and what should people know about him? What should they be looking for?
Yeah, so Keandre is another guy that, as a rookie, has learned to play inside and outside, which is something I haven't seen a whole lot of rookies be able to do, and he's really taken that coaching well. He's quick. I think the word that comes to mind, I've heard a lot of people talk about him, is they say he's sticky. And that's what you like in coverage, is to be sticky on receivers. Yeah. And he's shown that, and I'm excited to what
30.
And how's Emmanuel coming along, the other guy trying to fight really to make an impression here?
Right. He's done well as well. Those rookies that come in every morning, they have their notebook out, and they're ready to take notes, and they're ready to learn. They're a fun group to be around, all 4 of them.
Coach, always appreciate the time. Looking forward to seeing your guys against Jacksonville and really see how this thing comes together. And it's going to be a fun season, and we'll always appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, always good to talk to you, Nathan, and I appreciate our conversations. You do a great job, and looking forward to this season.
You're up.
I love that guy. Well, that was very thorough. That was very good, yeah.
You want to know what to watch on Saturday? Give you a little background on everybody you're going to see.
Hey, for everybody out there, let's go through the definition of bone collector. Is it a turnover?
It's the guy who was the most disruptive for the defense on that day, getting their hands on the ball, blowing things up. Jadeveon Clowney's gotten it at one point. So he said 6 of the 12 days have been in his room. And a guy, Keandre Thomas, he's made that bone collector. He's got that notch on his belt. And when you're called sticky as a cornerback,
yeah, that's perfect.
That's what you want. So that's somebody that I'm going to be watching Saturday now against Jacksonville.
Here's the one thing I take out of all that information, and that is the frustration and the desire to have Delpit on the field. And, they were excited about getting him. They were excited about coaching him. Then the Achilles tear last year, and then the excitement again builds up that you're going to get him back this year. He's had a full year, although it's a tough injury to come back from, and we're delayed. So I sense that they would really have a desire to get him out on the field, and it's matched on the other side,
right.
Maybe even tenfold by the kid.
Yes.
I mean, he's waiting to get his NFL career going. But that's the one thing I take out of there. If there's frustration, and there's a lot to be very excited about with all the depth that they have there and the progression with these young players, but to get Delpit part of that with Harrison and John Johnson, I mean, that's the scenario.
Well, yeah, you hear the praise for John Johnson. He's as good as advertised for them. We all know what Ronnie meant to this team. We've talked about it many times. When he was on the field, it was plain to see that you added a big-time playmaker. But, yeah, Grant, I mean, it's frustrating for everybody, and it's frustrating for the kid. It's frustrating for us. And, those reps are so important, and he's got 9 so far this year in a team situation. So I know he's engaged. I know he's doing everything he can, and you're right, it is frustrating. The good news is today is August the 11th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think
the first game is September the 12th.
Yep.
So you've still got 4 weeks to get ready. But I think, the sooner you can get him out there, obviously, the better. I do know from, and you heard Coach Howard talk about it there, in a meeting situation, he's taking great notes. He's asking great questions. He's fully engaged. He's participating in the walkthroughs. And they're giving him extra work to try to get him ready so when he physically can do it, that mentally it's all there. But you got to do it physically.
Right. I remember him when we finally got a chance to talk to him after the season was over, and he said how difficult it was for him to watch the games last year, that he wasn't in them, obviously, and what he could have helped them do last year defensively. So it was difficult for him, and I sense the frustration organization-wide that they would love to get him on the field. That would make it the defense that they really want.
Yeah, and I think when he does, it will be a
special
celebration.
Yeah,
and it will be special for all of us, players, coaches, fans alike. All right, so much more to come here on Cleveland Browns Daily. Nathan Zegura, the voice of the Browns, Jim Donovan at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. And remember, training camp moved inside. It is underway right now. The Browns doing some red zone work and some goal line work in those cozy confines of the field house here at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. campus. It is that Myles Garrett remains on the sideline. Jadeveon Clowney also having another day off, not listed as an injury-related day off. I think they're just taking it easy with Jadeveon, who has certainly shown what he is capable of.
He looks good.
He looks
fine.
See you in September, my friend.
September 12th.
Yes. The Chief, David Njoku, practicing again after sitting out yesterday with a shoulder injury. He is limited to individual work, it sounds like today. Also, Blake Hance, who had an ankle missed yesterday. He's back. Marvin Wilson, who left yesterday with a heat issue, he is back as well. Not expected to have, still Denzel remains out. Anthony Schwartz, Delpit, Ronnie, those guys still on the sidelines for practice for the Browns. But again, they are inside, so I'm not sure what kind of coverage we'll be able to give people post-practice today, but they're inside getting some work in. And as it always is with Kevin Stefanski, situations, small space, small field. Let's use red zone goal line work.
Well, I said that to Jason. I said, if when they went inside, and it is cozy in there, there's no doubt about it. But I said at the top of the show to Jason, I said, if there's anybody that probably has prepared for this, it's Kevin Stefanski. I mean, they will turn this into a very productive afternoon.
Yeah, and they will get the work that they wanted out of it, and wisely take advantage of. Hey, let's just.
It's amazing how little downtime goes on in their practices, and when he brings them together as a group, it's for like a minute. And then they go off again. They disperse. There were so many times in a camp where there's a lot of downtime. And wait a minute, let's stop the period, start the clock all over again. But none of that is apparent here at all. I mean, they're out there for a period of time, and they use all of those minutes that they get to the fullest extent.
It's the efficiency, and it's knowing that you have limited time to take advantage of it. And the coaches tell me that the walkthroughs they go through are so well organized, and the players get a lot out of those. And so the work that's being put in from a mental standpoint in those walkthroughs is carrying on to the field.
Hey, there was a great thing. I was telling him, did you see the Browns NFL Films movie that's out from last year?
About the season?
Yeah.
No.
It just came out last night.
Oh, boy.
It's called The Wait is Over. It's on YouTube. The Wait is Over.
Boy.
I'll tell you what.
I'm going to watch it tonight.
Bring your tissue. But anyway, there's one segment where, remember the touchdown pass that Mayfield threw to OBJ against the Bengals, the bomb?
The out and up. Yeah, week 2.
Here.
Yeah, sure.
He rolled out and everything like that. So they go over to the sideline, and they've got Kevin mic'd up that night. And what's the first thing he says to him? I would have said, great throw. Man, beautiful throw. He said, excellent job getting out of the huddle up to the line of scrimmage. But he said, I think that's where the success in the play started.
Yeah.
Excellent job getting out of the huddle up to the line of scrimmage. It was
Coach.
It was one of the most gorgeous plays that I've seen them run. I mean, that's vintage OBJ, right?
That is.
And Mayfield.
And that was a big one.
The wait is over.
I've got it right here.
It's phenomenal.
It's already here. What's about 20 minutes? Oh, it's going to be a perfect half-hour show. This is delightful.
Yeah.
I can't wait for this. Yeah. But that's the detail, right? That's what he's focused on.
That's
part of the process.
That's what hit me was the detail of it. It was just amazing,
Yeah.
Get out of the huddle. Get them up to the line of scrimmage. Maybe they made the call at the line of scrimmage, and it allowed them to get into that particular play.
And I don't know if they cover this, but the play where Jarvis threw the touchdown to Odell in Dallas, the early trick play in that game.
Yeah,
so they wanted that play. They wanted it at a very specific yardage. They wanted it very specifically on the left hash. Or the ball was, I can't remember if it was ball right hash. Whatever hash the ball was on, that's where they wanted it. And when Stefanski talked about that play, he talked about the precision that everything happened exactly the way they wanted. That Odell hit his cut right on the hash marks, exactly how they talked about, at the exact number of yards down the field that they had talked about. Bennett back on the exact angle they had talked about. Jarvis crow hopped in the exact spot they had wanted him to do the crow hop before he launched the pass that they did in practice. And he goes, that was perfect execution. Yeah. And my favorite part about it was I remember asking him, I said, when did you know that play was going to work? Because sometimes with the play caller, it can be pre-snap, oh, we've got the look we want, or post-snap, we saw the safety rotate, we've got him. And he said, 90. When I walked off the bus.
We're going to end on a good shot.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
There it is. All right. The next level is coming up next here. Again, practice closed today due to the inclement weather at the Cross Country Mortgage campus. Full coverage for you resuming tomorrow. Another edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. Not to mention tomorrow's practice is the return of Browns Live. Tonight on the University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network, it's the Browns Preview Show. Ken Carman, Gerard Cherry, Andrew Billings joining the program as well. Jim, are you making an appearance on that?
I don't know. I have not heard. Am I? I am, yes.
Oh, yes, and the voice of the Browns. He will be